Okay, are there any questions on the homework? Lucy? So 46, they give you the 0.08. They want you to convert the point to the polar coordinates. It's already rectangular. So you're going to start with do you know the two formulas that convert? Because on the quiz, you have to know them. I'm not giving you any formulas, right? So I'm going to say that r squared is equal to x squared plus y squared. So this is my x and this is my y. So r squared is equal to 0 squared plus 8 squared. And I could say that r squared is equal to 64, but r is going to end up equaling plus or minus 8. Then to find the tangent, you're going to say the tangent of theta is equal to y, which is 8, over x, which is 0. So when you do the inverse tangent, does your calculator give you an answer, or does it say undefined? It says undefined. That's so sad. All right, so, but think about it. When is your tangent is what? Like, well, so I know, so here I have 8 over 0 is equal to my tangent, right? But tangent's what trig function over what trig function? Sine over cosine. So here I'm going to have a sine of this and a cosine of this. But it doesn't really matter what the sine is. It really matters that the cosine is equal to 0, right? But when does it happen that your sine is equal to a number and your cosine is equal to 0? So pi over 2. So this angle that I'm going to first come up with is pi over 2. Okay, and then I'm going to ask myself, does pi over 2 match that point, so 0, 8? So if you were to plot 0, 8 in the rectangular world, you wouldn't plot a point at 0, 8. So if I want you to do this in polar form, that means I'm going to be 8 radiuses out, right? And then my angle can be pi over 2, or I can have 90 degrees. And since that pi over 2 matches the coordinate, where that point is, I'm going to leave it as a positive 8. If it didn't match, I would make the radius negative. Any other questions on Lily? I can't hear you. What? $77. So you have y to the third is equal to x squared. Do you want me to do it the hard way or the easy way? Huh? All right, so every time you see y, what is y equal to? To change it to polar. So this will be r sine theta, and then this is going to be raised to the third power, and then x is equal to r cosine theta, and this is going to be raised to the second power. So I'm going to have, like if I distribute this third power, I'm going to have r cubed sine cubed theta is equal to r squared cosine squared theta. Now, the object is to get r on one side by itself, so I'm probably going to divide by sine cubed, and it doesn't matter the order that you do this in. And at the same time, can I divide this side by r squared? So I'm going to divide this side by r squared, this by r squared. So here I'll be left with r, and then here I'm left with cosine squared theta over sine cubed theta. And I would be tempted to leave it like that, but I would never really want to leave it like that. Can I write that as cosine squared theta over sine squared theta times sine theta? And then, so this, whoopsie, is equal to cotangent squared theta. And then the 1 over sine is cosecant. And you should try and write them without having reciprocals. Any other questions? Kaylee? $53, it says use a graphing utility to find one set of polar coordinates. That means that the point isn't on the unit circle. You're not going to actually plot that point on the graphing calculator. So you're going to have 53 is negative 5, 2. So negative 5, 2 would be over here somewhere. Agreed? So when I go to write the polar coordinates, I'm going to do that r squared is equal to x squared plus y squared. So r squared is equal to negative 5 squared plus 2 squared. R squared is equal to 29. So r is equal to plus or minus the square root of 29. Then here's where the calculator comes in. You're going to do the tangent of theta is equal to your y, which is 2, over your x, which is negative 5. So when you do the inverse tangent, did you do the inverse tangent? I think it ends up being negative 21 degrees, negative 21.8. Okay, we'll just go with that. No one's, this is negative 21.8 degrees. So if I asked you to graph negative 21.8 degrees, what quadrant would that be in? So this would be in the fourth quadrant, but your point is actually in the second quadrant, right? So you have to adjust. There's two ways you can adjust. One way is I can leave the angle as a negative 21.8 degrees. But in order to plot that point, I would come down here to that 21.8 degrees, but I'd have to hop the pole to get to that point. So this will be a negative square root of 29. Or I could leave it as a positive square root of 29, and then what would I have to do that angle to make it go that way? Add 180, or pi, since it's in degrees, I'm going to add 180, and if I add 180, I get 158.2, I believe. So either one of those answers is correct. You're not actually plotting the 0.5, negative 5.2 on your calculator. Lucy? So 90, they want you to convert the rectangular to polar. So see how I have r is equal to 4 sine theta. In order to rewrite r and to rewrite a trig function, like the trig function has to have r with it, and to rewrite r, it has to be r squared. The easiest way to make that happen is if I multiply both sides by r. So I'm going to multiply this side by r, multiply this side by r. I've done the same thing to both sides of the equation, so I kept it the same. So here this is going to be r squared is equal to 4r sine theta. Now I can rewrite r squared as x squared plus y squared. And then I can rewrite this r sine theta as y, so 4y. Now I don't know what the back of the book does. I honestly don't remember. But this I know is a conic that we just did at the beginning of this chapter, right? Which means I'm going to take the time to write this conic in standard form. To write it in standard form, what do I have to do? Lily? Well, I'm going to start by setting the equation equal to 0. So I'm going to have x squared plus y squared minus 4y is equal to 0. Then what am I going to do? Jack? I'll give you a hint. I'm going to complete the square for that. So I'm going to have x squared plus, I don't have to factor anything out, so I'm going to just jump right into completing the square. So if I complete the square for this, what am I going to write? Y minus 2. I took half of 4 and got 2. 2 squared is what? 4. So if I add 4 to this side, in order to complete that square, I have to add 4 to this side. So I said equal 4. Now at this point, I could leave it like that. Why can I leave it like that? What shape is this? Oh, huh? Not a parabola because I have two variables that are squared. Dylan? It is a circle. It's a circle because they're both squared, they're both positive, and they both have the same coefficient. So I can leave it like this because I know it's a circle with a center of 0, 2, has a radius of 2. Or if you're just so in this mindset of setting it equal to 1 because it is a conic, you're going to have both of those over the 4 and equal to 1. Does that make sense? Either one of those answers is fine, but you do have to complete the square. Any other questions? Dylan? (59) x squared plus y squared is equal to 9. What's x squared plus y squared equal to? No, I'm sorry. on your, what is in changing rectangular to polar, what is x squared plus y squared equal to? It's equal to a letter. Do you remember what it is? It is r squared. So this is going to be r squared is equal to 9. So then take the square root, so r is equal to 3. And since it's a radius, you're going to keep it as a positive 3.
I kept trying to write it out as like r times cosine squared. And I kept getting 2r squared.
You tried making this r cosine. I can make life hard. Yes, plus r sine theta squared is equal to 9. So then you agree that this is r squared times cosine squared theta plus r squared sine squared theta is equal to 9. And then do we agree that I can factor out an r squared? So I factor out an r squared and I get r squared times cosine squared theta plus sine squared theta is equal to 9. What is cosine squared theta plus sine squared theta equal to? 1. So this will be r squared theta times 1 is equal to 9. So I end up with r squared is equal to 9. So I end up at the same place, just a lot more work. Oh, no, you can't do that. Because they're not like terms, because one has a cosine attached and one has a sine attached. Any other questions? No? No, this one's telling me, like, if I go up here, before we even talked about polar, and I give you x squared plus y squared is equal to 9, you would tell me it's a circle, right? So what this is saying is that it doesn't matter what the angle is, the radius is always 3. So think about it, if I have this and my radius is always 3, then this is what I'm drawing, is this circle right out here. Doesn't matter what the angle is. So sometimes you have r is equal to 3, which means you have a circle, and sometimes you may have like theta is equal to pi over 4, which means you just have a line. So you don't necessarily, it's kind of like with rectangular, you don't necessarily always have to have an x and a y. Sometimes you just have an x is equal to and you have a vertical line, and sometimes you just have a y and it's a horizontal line. Josh, are we done with this one? Okay, 92. R squared is equal to, so r squared is equal to 2 sine theta. R squared is equal to 2 sine theta. So as soon as I can change something, I'm going to, right? So I wonder if I want to, though. Okay. Did you make that x squared plus y squared? Or did you just, what did you do? Okay, so if you multiply both sides of this equation by r, then this will be r cubed is equal to 2r sine theta. Then you made this 2y, right? So this is equal to 2y. And then here I can think of this as r times r squared is equal to 2y. Then I'm going to make, oh, that's squared. Then I'm going to make this r times x squared plus y squared is equal to 2y. R is equal to 2y x squared plus y squared. So I have r on one side by itself, but I still don't have it done. I need r to be either with a trig function, which I really don't want to add a trig function to the right side. So the easiest way for me to do this would be to square both sides. So if I square both sides, it's not going to be pretty. I'm not going to lie. It's going to kind of be ugly. So if I square both sides, this is going to be r squared is equal to, can I make this 4y squared in the numerator? And then I'm going to make the denominator x squared plus y squared squared. So this r squared will be x squared plus y squared is equal to 4y squared over x squared plus y squared squared. Then what would you do? Can I simplify it at all? I'm probably going to multiply both sides by x squared plus y squared squared, right? X squared plus y squared squared. So on this side, I'm going to have x squared plus y squared to the third is equal to 4y squared. I'd be happy if you got that far. You could solve for y. I could actually expand that out using the binomial theorem if I wanted to. Does anyone want to do that? Do you want to leave it like that? Okay. The whole goal of changing from polar to rectangular is getting rid of all the r's and thetas and making them x and y's. So I did that. And Jack?
Go over 104.
So 104, it says describe the graph of the polar equation and find the corresponding rectangular. So this, I have just theta, right? So I know that tangent of theta is equal to y over x. That's one of the formulas. So if I take the tangent of 3 pi over 4, that's going to equal y over x. What's the tangent of 3 pi over 4? -1. So this is -1 is equal to y over x. So I'm going to have negative x is equal to y. If I were to ask you to graph that, what would that look like? Line. Going up or going down? Going down. So it's a line that goes like this, right? So that's my line that I would have y is equal to negative x. This part of it is theta is equal to 3 pi over 4. So if you just have theta is equal to something, you're going to have a line. If you have r is equal to something, you're going to have a circle. Good? Any other questions? Going once? Going twice? Okay. We're going to stop.